everybody, and welcome to Season 5, Episode 15 of History's Greatest Idiots, the podcast where we look back through all of human history and bring you examples of really quite terrible and amazing stupidity performed by really quite idiotic people, and give you lessons that you can learn from these people's behavior and never repeat those mistakes again. But who are we kidding? We're humans. We like to make mistakes, and sometimes they offer us beautiful, quite elaborate entertainment. Yes. Joining me as ever is my amazing co-host and dear friend Derek. Derek, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing fantastic. Always happy to be here with you, hanging out on the weekend.
Yeah, me too. I've had an awesome day. I told you all about it. Went out with my family, my mother-in-law staying with us, had a really special dinner, which is the one I've been hankering for 7 months, but couldn't go the last 2 times because...
Yeah, yeah. You're down with the sickness.
I was down with the sickness for a very long time, and being down with the sickness also meant not eating delicious food and losing about 3 stone in weight. But I'm better now. I'm on amazing meds. I take 1 a day, which is like incredible, and I ate the most delicious food. And then we chilled out and we watched Wimbledon, and it's just been a fun weekend. Also, something I didn't mention to you, because we had a nice chat before the start of the podcast. I'll tell you, right, after I do the call to action, I should call it that, I'll tell you, I learned the meaning of a saying called, you know the saying, don't blow smoke up my ass?
Yes, yeah, I know that. Yeah.
I learned the meaning of that, and I'll tell you about that in a second, and it's so fucked up. But before we get to the meaning of to blow smoke up one's arse, let me big shout out to our wonderful, paying, really loyal patrons: Jesse Christ, Kimberly Johnson, Andrew Zavara, Dilly Bob, Silent Crisis, Carrion, Suzanne, and Toasterzoid. Thank you all so much for being so loyal to us and for just showing us love and throwing us $3 a month, you know. And if you guys would like to join them, go to patreon.com/History's Greatest Idiots, where we post behind-the-scenes stuff from our lives, our holidays, pictures of our pets, exclusive recordings every month, and special access to our scripts. There are episode scripts, which are, I mean, this one's 5,000 words, so it's a good old read. Ooh. If you compile them all together, I think you'd have a nice big old book now. And also, you get a welcome gift when you join. You get an annual gift when you stay with us for a year. And yeah, it's a special time to be part of our patrons, because we'll be sending out the annual gifts very soon, because those have rolled around very quickly. My God.
Man, the time flies.
I know. Like, I feel like we only did that recently, but no, it's been nearly a year. And also, if you go and follow us over on Instagram, you can see a bunch of our memes and reels and stuff. That's at History's Greatest Idiots over on Instagram. And the same on YouTube, where we're uploading a lot more shorts now. And some of them are doing gangbusters. Others, where we talk about gay rights, get no views because they're shadow banned by YouTube because it doesn't like the word gay.
Is that what happened?
That's what happened.
Oh, okay.
Some of them, okay. I will say that the ones that have performed really well, the ones that focus on the blockbuster stuff, because obviously nostalgia, people want to talk about Blockbuster, and also
Nintendo
and Nintendo and Blockbuster together. That's the niche that really got people's attention, and also the Who and guitar smashing and crazy rock and rollness. That's also done really well. But apparently, people don't want to know about LGBTQI plus stuff. But that's the algorithm. Speedos, yeah, that did well. The Speedos thing did really, really well.
What is it? What are they called? Buggy
smugglers.
Yeah.
That's actually an Australian thing. That's an Australian thing that's translated really well, because you know when you hear something and you immediately know why it's called that because you see the visual, you're like, oh yeah, got it straight away. Yeah. Another one is another Australian saying, when it's cold for women, it's you're smuggling peanuts. I think that's a common one.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you get the visual reference straight away. It's very evocative. So now that I've got the call to action out of the way, let me tell you about the phrase blowing smoke up your ass, right?
Yeah.
Designed to mean saying something that isn't true or is ineffectual, basically.
Okay.
Right. So this goes back to the 19th century, maybe even the 18th century, actually. It's that far back. Anyway, back in this point in time in Europe and in America as well, a lot of people were drowning because not many people knew how to swim properly. So they'd fall in a river or in a canal and people would just drown, right?
Okay.
And back then, people did not know about CPR. But,
All right.
People needed to be pulled out of the river and they would try and, resuscitate them. But there was no such thing as CPR, so they didn't know how to do that. Along comes big tobacco. This is how effective big tobacco has been for the last 300 years. Tobacco said...
When was this?
This is 200 years ago.
Okay.
Okay. So tobacco companies came along and invented this method of reviving someone after they've effectively drowned, right? So instead of chest compressions or blowing into their airways, whatever it might be, they were like, here's what you do. You take a pipe and you get some tobacco smoke and you blow it. You blow it into the pipe, up into their back passage.
That's not my airway.
Exactly. And I also, hilariously, they also provided sets to help with this that included comical cartoon bellows, with the things where you would put that and blow smoke up someone's arse that way. So,
my goodness.
And it was like the campaign to start this was super successful to the point where this went around Europe, this method of revitalizing people who had drowned. And eventually people stopped doing it for two reasons. The first reason being, unfortunately, when someone dies, they evacuate their bowels sometimes. So if you've got a tube and you are blowing tobacco into that tube...
dear God.
Yeah, there you go. And more than once, the person trying to resuscitate the person who had died themselves from inhaling. Yeah. And also... it doesn't work, obviously, and they found that out very quickly. It was basically a marketing ploy by big tobacco to get people to buy giant amounts of tobacco because it can be used in all these different... You can bring people back to life by blowing it up people's arse. So
how long did people try it before they realized, this doesn't work, this is a trick?
Longer than they should have.
Oh boy.
It's one of those things where it's like assumed knowledge until someone's like, that's not how the fucking body works.
Like bleaches and the ghosts and
the
spirit of your body.
Yeah, or like bloodletting. Some shit. But the interesting thing is, there's a reason why this started. And the rumor, because a lot of this is true, but the way it started, the rumor is probably like a bit of a myth concocted by people who are trying to justify it staying around, is that someone drowned and someone came along, stuck a tube up their arse or blew up their arse, and they woke up again. Here's what I think happened. This person wasn't drowned. They were just in shock because they'd been in cold water for a long time, right? So they pulled them out. They're in shock. They're not responding. So then along comes some random fucking stranger and shoves a tube up your ass and starts blowing into it. You're like, oh my God, what the fuck? And it snaps you out of the shock.
Yeah, that'll wake you up.
That'll wake you up. And they're like, huzzah! I have revived him.
Oh my.
So I think that's where that came from.
We're some dumb meat puppets.
Yes, we are. And we are easily manipulated by tobacco companies, apparently. So,
Marketing, buddy. Marketing.
It's all marketing. And God bless Big Tobacco for giving us the phrase to blow smoke up someone's arse, meaning to absolutely do something or say something that is untrue and completely useless. So, yeah. So that's where that comes from. Eventually, people realized that, no, you have to blow in through the mouth. Also, the reason people didn't blow in through the mouth, they thought that it was, what was the word? Improper? Or like, what's the word? It was an affront to someone's dignity to, like, effectively go lip to lip with them. So, the implication is that you're kissing them. But it's fine to, like, pull their arse cheeks apart and blow air into their arse.
Jesus. But what if you used a tube?
There you
then
go.
You just blew smoke into their face.
It looks a lot less like analingus. It just looks like you're giving them a reverse blowjob. You know, that's all that was. Yeah.
Good grief.
So that's the history behind the phrase "blowing smoke up someone's arse." I just wanted to tell you that.
And now you know.
And the more you know. Patrick McCall, good afternoon and evening, gents. Welcome. It's good to have you with us. But so away from learning crazy ass phrases, I have an idiot for you today. And we've already done a rock and roll guy this season. So we did Keith Moon. That was very recent. That was only a couple of episodes ago. It might have been the last. Was it the last episode? Or did I do somebody else? No, I did Harvey Milk. Yeah. So I came back to this one. This one, because it's kind of still a developing story. It's another one of those things where we may not have seen the last of this story. Like when we initially covered Elizabeth Holmes, I think we've kind of seen the last of the terribleness around that for a while. But this one may have long-lasting effects, especially with the stuff that's going on now, because I don't know if there's been too many updates on this, but we'll get to that in a bit. So I'd like to tell you the story of Tim Lambesis, the lead singer and founder of As I Lay Dying.
Okay.
And I've titled this As I Lay Raging. So that's where I'm going with this. Timothy Peter Lambesis was born on November the 21st, 1980, to Nick and Vicky Lambesis. Nick and Vicky founded an advertising firm called La Jolla. Okay, you're going to have to help me with this. Jolla. Is that
La Jolla?
La Jolla. There you go. Thank you. La Jolla. Known as the Lambesis Agency to other people as well, which handled international clients such as Coca-Cola, Airwalk, Sky Vodka, Gold Peak Tea, Takuri, Baby Stores, and Campari.
Okay.
So, a bunch of quite big names there that
yes.
they're handling advertising stuff for. The agency's work for Airwalk was profiled by Malcolm Gladwell in his book The Tipping Point, which was published in 2000. I've got to point out, Malcolm Gladwell is a great writer, but that book in particular, The Tipping Point, is a great read. I know it's 25 years old now, it won't be quite so relevant, but if you want like a point about business and marketing and maybe how we ended up in the fucking situation we're in now, that is a good book to read by Malcolm Gladwell. He's an amazing author, LGBTQI icon, just a really interesting read. He reminds me a bit of the American version of Stephen Fry. For me, Malcolm Gladwell. So
okay.
Very, very good writer. He is American, I think. Anyway, the company, so this agency, closed in 2019 with Nick co-founding a new agency called Sublime Digital in 2023. So this guy, Tim Lambesis, grew up in wealth, in a lot of comfort, to be honest.
Okay.
So, his parents were doing very well. They were working with all these international clients. I mean, they worked with Coca-Cola, for Christ's sake. So you do one campaign for Coca-Cola, you're kind of fucking set for life.
Really. It seems like you should be good. Yeah, they seems like they would be giving you well-paid money for your campaigns for their company.
100%, like huge budgets. You get like a load of work out off the back of it. So that's why if you ever watch Mad Men, they're always like chasing like the Marlboros and the American Airlines and stuff, like all these big companies, because you do like one campaign for these people and you're set for the rest of your career, basically. So Lambesis grew up in Southern California and was voted most like Jesus by his classmates when he attended Santa Fe Christian School in Solana Beach, California as a teenager, probably because of the hair, not the behavior.
Okay, I thought maybe he was walking on water and turning water into wine and shit.
No, he just looked like a fucking hippie. He attended Liberty University for a time and majored in religious studies. So Tim, just want to point this out now, Tim, at various points in his life, super religious guy. And Patrick, as I saw with his comment there, oh man, this is going to be good. He already knows what's coming. This is fucked up. He's a super religious guy, and he's claimed to be that at various points in his life. It's changed a little bit, but we'll get into that in a bit. So Lambesis started his musical career when he was still in high school, playing bass in the first few bands he was in. He and a guy called Matt Carlson, who is a drummer, formed the band Against the Mark, where Lambesis would become the band's vocalist. Terrible fucking name. He's not great with names, is our Tim.
Okay.
Yeah. The two would get a full band together, including bassist John Jameson. The band changed their name to Life Once Lost, but only for a short time until they entered an indefinite hiatus. That's another terrible name. This is happening. You know, you cycle through bands in the early years before you land on your big successful one. So he's starting that process now, generally.
This high school, 16.
Yeah, he's kind of still in high school. There've been a bunch of bands. He's cycling through them. They've all got shit names, but yeah, this is it. So anyway, Lambesis left in 2000 to join Society's Finest, but only for a brief time, as they did not have plans to tour. Lambesis returned to California to restart the band Life Once Lost, but with a whole different lineup. The band discovered that a different band called A Life Once Lost were formed in 1999. Different band, totally different thing. They were finding success, so this band decided to change their name to As I Lay Dying, which is the name of the band that will stick around for the next 25 years and be responsible for all sorts of fucking mayhem. Lambesis hired Jordan Mancino, former drummer of Edge of Mortality, and Evan White to the band. And Jordan Mancino is a very important figure in this story. He's a very pivotal figure in the makeup of the band. Okay. So keep that name in mind. In 2001, Lambesis and Mancino joined Point of Recognition and recorded on the album Day of Defeat in 2002. The two quit soon after to further pursue As I Lay Dying. Let's talk about As I Lay Dying, at least their early years. Depending on who you ask, they're either described as melodic metalcore music.
Okay.
So, do you know metalcore?
There's so many different little subgenres that I just have no idea what any of them are. Is it one where are they screaming?
Yeah. So Tim Lambesis has got a very defined scream, and metalcore itself is kind of an offshoot of thrash metal. So dun, 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 you know, that kind of driving, thumping thing. The way that As I Lay Dying is slightly different is that it's a little bit more mainstream than standard metalcore because they're screaming, but they have pretty intense melodies where you have moments where you're like, oh, that's some good structure right there. Like there's some decent singing going on, and there's a melody that the audience can hang on to. It reminds me a little bit, and they'll either see this as a compliment or an insult, as what is it called? Baby metal, where like there's three Japanese girls who've got like a full metal band behind them, but they do like kawaii performances.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and they do like cute stuff, and then they have a melodic bit, but then they go into like the thrash element. It's a little bit similar to that. There's a really nice melody, but then you go back to Lambesis going rah 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 rah, and the wanky guitar thing, which it's not my thing. So they're either described as melodic metalcore because of the melodies, Christian metal because their themes are super Christian, or just shit, depending on which critic you talk to. So not quite shit sandwich, but we're not a million miles away. Shortly after the band's formation, Pluto Records offered As I Lay Dying a recording contract, and after accepting the offer, the band entered the studio 1 month later to record their first album, Beneath the Encasing of Ashes, released in June 2001. Yeah, like some metal fucking names.
Okay, I mean, Beneath the Encasing of Ashes, so like Pompeii.
Yeah, or like Beneath the Encasing of Ashes, that to me means like you've got a mop and broom, and you're just like sweeping it up and just like, all right, there we go. Those ashes taken care of. The band, you clean it up, basically. They're doing chores. That's the name of the album. The band then recorded 5 songs for a split album again through Pluto Records with San Diego post-hardcore band American Tragedy. So I kind of... there's something in my head that's connecting there. I don't know.
Sounds familiar, but I don't know that one either. I'm bad at metal.
Yeah, I'm more connected to post-hardcore because I love Me Without You, and they kind of came out of hardcore music, post-hardcore, that kind of movement, because they did a lot of screaming and stuff, but then they moved into like really philosophical music, which I really loved with them. Anyway, As I Lay Dying realized it needed to expand to a 5-piece band to include another guitarist and another bassist. So really rounding out that sound.
And 2 bassists?
2 bassists, 2 guitarists, and a drummer. Oh wait, yeah, because Tim Lambesis, guitarist as well. So
Okay.
that's a shitload of noise right there.
Why? I don't understand 2 bassists.
Well, I mean, if you're a ska band, it makes complete sense. But I don't know why metalcore. But
I don't understand music, I suppose.
Well, I don't at all. And my wife, when I told her that, she was like, 2 bassists? She's a bassist, and she's a fucking musician. So she didn't understand it either, but it worked for them. So good for you, As I Lay Dying. Mancino commented, we started going on tour, and we needed obviously more people than we had. So we need more noise. We need to make more noise. That's how average we are. As Lambesis and Mancino were the only permanent members, the band recruited friends to perform with them and subsequently underwent several lineup changes. Bassist Noah Chase departed in 2001, while Brandon Hayes and his subsequent replacement Aaron Kennedy departed in 2003. So they've lost 3 band members already. Basically,
that's pretty quick.
Yeah, real quick, and we'll get into other stuff. I keep hinting. There's so much to cover. During 2003, when As I Lay Dying's Pluto recording contract expired, the band pursued deals with other record labels. After extensive touring and an increase in popularity, As I Lay Dying was offered a record deal with Metal Blade Records in March 2003. I know I made a joke earlier about them being shit. Their music and metalcore in general is very much an acquired taste, but they're actually really quite good musicians. If you watch any of their videos, like insert foreshadowing sound, dum dum bum. So they're honestly, even Lambesis himself, because he can play a bunch of instruments. They're generally talented musicians. There's no doubt in that. They're not like some. Like, you know how the Ramones kind of got away with it because they were charismatic and they were writing cool music and stuff. They weren't what you would call great musicians. They were just iconic. These guys are good. These guys are actually good musicians. So they're just not making iconic music. They're just making music that people go, yeah, okay. It's not for me. I'm not into the wanky guitar thing anymore. And maybe when I was a kid, but it's just a bit too hyper masculine. And the whole like, oh, I'm masturbating my guitar. Like it just doesn't, it doesn't do it for me anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, you do you. In July 2003, the band's second studio album, Frail Words Collapse, was released. Produced by Lambesis, the album peaked at number 30 on Billboard's Independent Albums chart and number 41 on the Top Heat Seekers chart. Words can't collapse, Tim. They aren't physical things.
Well, maybe if they were some of those ones that you built out of cardboard or something and some wind just blew them over.
There you go. Or the Hollywood sign. I've seen better days. Yeah, maybe those words can collapse.
Maybe that's Frail Hollywood sign collapses.
Yeah. There you go. There's your album cover, mate.
Insert foreshadowing sound here.
Yes. Talking about collapsing. William York, of AllMusic, thought the band doesn't really add anything new to the mix from a musical standpoint with the release, while also praising it for being solid enough, and well executed with adequate production. Every band dreams of a review that calls them adequate. That's like,
it's good enough,
slightly above average.
It's not the worst crap I've heard this year. That's the review I want.
We're in big time. Yeah, forgettable. That's the review. Shu and Frias of Jesus Freak Hideout, awesome name, had similar sentiments and commented, As I Lay Dying didn't exactly break many boundaries in making this record, but praised that each song is executed so well and with such precision, because the wanky guitar again, that nere a song misses its target. Props for using the word nere there, Sherwin. Touring then occurred to promote the album with support from bands Himsa, Shadows Fall, The Black Dahlia Murder, Killswitch Engage,
Hey,
who
I know one.
definitely fucking heard of them. Yeah, who are awesome. God damn, they're good. In Flames, Sworn Enemy, and Hatebreed, who I've also heard of. I've heard of Hatebreed.
Yeah, so I've heard of Shadows Falls, Killswitch Engage, and Hatebreed.
Yeah, there you go. That's not bad.
That's 3.
Yeah, that's 3. They're getting big.
Yeah.
Because we've actually heard of some of the fucking bands around them now. And the music videos for the songs 94 Hours and Forever received rotation on networks such as Fuse and MTV2's Headbangers Ball. So progress is being made here, you know?
Headbangers Ball is still a thing?
In 2000 and...
oh, yeah, it was, I suppose. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's not as popular as it was, but 2003 is...
They moved it over to
still...
MTV2.
Yes, absolutely, which... God, again, we've spoken about how much we miss MTV. I miss MTV.
Yeah.
And MTV2, the Headbangers Ball, even though, like, even at the time we knew that it's not looking so good for MTV. I still miss those dying days of MTV back then. It's such a cool thing. Anyway, as I lay dying, entered Big Fish recording studio in Encinitas,
Encinitas, yeah.
Encinitas, California, in January 2005 to record their third studio album, Shadows Are Security. No, they're not. They're just shadows, mate. Was released in June of the same year and debuted at number 1 on the independent album chart. So they've gone from number 30 to number 1.
That's pretty good.
Pretty quickly, like in one album. That's good, you know?
Yeah. Well, Shadows Are Security. And apparently cooler songs.
Yeah, Shadows Are Sales.
Here we go.
There we are. It was also the band's first release to enter the Billboard Top 200 at number 35.
Nice. That's solid.
That they sold 275,000 copies of that album.
That must have been when I heard of them.
There you go. That's when they enter the kind of the slight, like, we're on the cusp of mainstream success here because, you know, we've had a charting album now. That's a big deal. So, yeah. And you know, mostly about, with bands like this, 275,000 copies, maybe you make a bit of money, but it's mostly about the touring. That's where you make the money with this, as long as you're sensible and the merchandise and stuff. Wade Kurgan of AllMusic called it one of the strongest releases of 2005 and commented that new guitarist Phil Segroso and Nick Hipper, who are also going to be recurring characters in this story, make the band stronger. So this is where they find their sound, finally.
Okay.
This is where the wanky guitar goes into overdrive. So Rod Smith of Decibel Magazine commented, Tim Lambesis has finally honed raw in bittersweet instrumental matrices augmented by occasionally sung vocals by bass guitarist Clint Norris, guitarist Phil Segroso, and Nick Hipper whip up a melodic cyclone on the darkest nights. Music critics fucking love that language, don't they?
Melodic cyclone on the darkest nights.
The Darkest Nights is a song title. Melodic cyclone, like, yeah, look at you. You can use words.
It went around in circles.
It really did, yeah. But melodically. So it was like, oh, that's fucking going around in circles, but it sounds good.
But does that mean, like, would that make the Pit a melodic pit?
Well, that's the thing. Because I feel like the Pit breaks out, like when Tim Lambesis is going, rah, 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 rah. But then when the melodies kicked in, I feel like they stopped to, like, sway for a bit.
Okay.
You know, just like sway. And then the fucking elbows come back out again, you know?
How much of a cyclone then if it's melodic? Can't be a cyclone.
Yeah, exactly. It can't be a cyclone. It has to be swaying. It has to be smooth. As I Lay Dying began touring to promote the new record by making appearances at Hell on Earth, Winter Headline Tour, and Ozfest.
Okay.
So they've broken onto Ozfest. That's a sign that you're doing all right, you know?
Yeah. It's always a solid lineup on that show.
Also, at this point in time, they start supporting a band called Unearth. And Unearth.
Okay.
Unearth. And supporting Slipknot.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Big fucking deal right there. That means that, you know, you're the warm-up act for Slipknot, and Slipknot do great live shows. So that's a sign that you're doing really well. The band was on the second stage of a festival alongside Rob Zombie, Killswitch Engaged, Engage, Mastodon, The Haunted, and It Dies Today. Some huge names.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
doing okay, yeah. The band raised its profile even further, though, in 2006 through its supporting slot on the Taste of Chaos tour in the US alongside bands such as Deftones, Thrice, Dredge, Funeral for a Friend, and Story of the Year. Fucking Deftones, man. That's another big name.
That's another good show that came through Taste of Chaos Theory. That came through Phoenix.
Yeah, there you go. So, oh man, I really need to see Deftones. I haven't seen them live in like 25 years. In May 2006, Beneath the Encasing of Ashes and the song from the Split album were released through Metal Blade Records as A Long March, the first recordings. The album contained the original and re-recorded versions of the songs from the Split album. The band preferred to re-release the material as they didn't want their fans paying large sums of money to listen to earlier releases. Also, they were probably a little bit embarrassed by the quality of the performances and the production. So, you re-record it. As a result.
Yeah, they changed guitarists too, though, right?
Yes, they have.
Aha.
So yeah, they're looking to get a little bit more scratch out of that re-release. And to be honest with you, I can't think of a better reason to re-record an album that you've already released than wanting your audience to have a better experience.
Right.
Really, that's pretty solid. The only other better reason I could think of is not wanting some dickheads called Scooter earning money from your old albums.
Okay.
Fuck you, Scooter Braun. The re-release peaked at number 3 on the independent album chart and number 129 on the Billboard Top 200 chart. So they're regularly appearing on Billboard album charts now, which is another sign of big progression from them. In mid-2006, As I Lay Dying was the headline act at the Sounds of the Underground Festival. And in 2007, As I Lay Dying started recording a new album titled An Ocean Between Us, a better title, finally, which was released on August the 21st, 2007. Debuting at number 8 on the Billboard Top 200.
That's okay. They're doing well.
They're doing really well. Number 1 on the top rock chart. With first week sales of 39,000 units, the album was the highest charting release for the band.
Damn, nice.
That's
okay.
All right. And this is 2007. You've got to understand, like, the state of rock music in 2007 was not strong, really. That was, nu metal had long since died and been replaced by, like...
Degenerate metal.
Yeah. And also, it's been replaced by indie music. Indie music is really big around 2007-8, like NGMT and people like that. They're doing really, really well. So to be a metalcore band and to reach the top 10 of the Billboard Top 200 album charts, that's a big success for them right there.
Yeah.
40,000 albums in a week is pretty good too. From Nick McCall here, An Ocean Between Us is by far their best album. I've listened to a couple of their songs. Maybe I need to listen to an album, but maybe I won't after what I'm about to tell you. Tom Urich of AllMusic praised the band for expanding its musical range by including melodic singing and choruses, as they had previously done on Confined from Shadows and Our Security. At this point in time, two more people. Sorry, I'm trying to keep count. 2 more people left the band. So that's Evan White, quit the band in 2005 for personal reasons after his mother passed away, which is really sad. Yeah. And Clint Norris quits the band in 2006 because of his desire to focus on his marriage. Also, totally okay with that. These are normal reasons for leaving a band,
Right.
And both, a lot of people have come and gone from this band now, so it's time to address this. As I Lay Dying have had 15 different band members come and go over the last 25 years.
That's a lot. That's a whole bunch of bands.
Yeah, I put it down here. That's enough to have a full basketball game with subs and a ref.
Good God.
That's 5-on-5. You can have a couple of subs and then a ref. That's the whole thing. So, yeah, I know sometimes you have bands. I think Faith No More is my favorite example of this, where you look back through their previous band members and you're like, holy shit, Courtney Love was in...
What?
Courtney Love was very briefly in Faith No More. Yeah, for like a cup of coffee in the big time.
Okay.
You know, that sort of thing. You know, she had a ham sandwich and then she fucked off out the studio. That sort of brief tenure. But no, so you see bands where you're like, oh, wow, they've had like 7, 8 previous members. But, you know, Faith No More have been around for 40 years, 45 years. These things happen. So,
Right.
But these guys have been around for 25 years and they've gone through 15 band members. That's like, what? That's like a band member leaving every like year and 3 months or something like that. That's pretty kind of intense.
It's high turnover.
It's high turnover. I wonder why that is. To promote the album, As I Lay Dying at the Warped Tour, began performing at the Warped Tour in 2007 in August and toured through Europe in September with Darkest Hour, Himsa, and Maroon. Not Maroon 5. That would have been hilarious. The band was awarded the title of Ultimate Metal God by MTV2's All That Rocks special and was nominated for a Grammy Award in the category of Best Metal Performance for the song Nothing Left.
Damn, okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're nominated for a Grammy in the heavy metal category. It's just hope that Jethro Tull don't release an album that particular year.
What does it say the other nominations for the Grammy?
Actually, here we go. The other Grammy Award nominees that year for Best Metal Performance included Slayer, King Diamond, Machine Head, and Shadows Fall. So
Okay, Machine Head or Slayer had to have won, right?
I think Slayer won. So,
Okay.
I think because like the Grammys are kind of like, all right, who do we know? Slayer, sure, yeah, they'll do. You know, it feels a bit like that. Oh, Adele's nominated? Yeah, just give it to her. We know about her. Around about this time, Lambesis discovers the gym and starts going regularly while expanding his array of tattoos to include a rocking Jesus tattoo, Arnold Schwarzenegger, naked Arnold Schwarzenegger as a Terminator, a koi fish swimming upstream, which is supposed to represent a quest for meaning and fulfillment, but actually just represents a dumbass fish doing something it would never do naturally. Yeah, this dude, I mean, a lot of metal guys have tattoos. This guy has some.
This seems like after he got to the gym.
Yeah, this is like, and this is after he got to the gym.
After.
We'll get to that. He discovers the gym, and then he hangs around the gym for a few years, and then he discovers the guys in the gym you shouldn't really be spending too much time with. So,
this guy?
Are we looking at a picture of the Liver King? Oh, there you go. Holy shit.
That's the drummer.
That's the drummer, yeah. I don't think he goes to the gym quite as much, but yeah. To be honest with you, if you're a drummer and you don't hold up your kit in a weird pose, then you're not really a drummer, to be honest with you. So that makes sense that he would be holding up both of those things. Silent Crisis, hey, hope you're both doing well. Thank you so much. We're doing good. Good to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. Back to Tim's tattoos. He's also got Hebrew writing. A cross, Jesus Christ in the clouds, as well as like rocking out on a different part of his body. And his largest, completely covering his back, a samurai fighting a tiger.
Oh.
Which represents the battle between reason and instinct. And also stupidity, because samurais wouldn't typically fight tigers because they aren't indigenous to Japan. They never have been. And
are you sure?
Yeah.
Have you been there though?
No, but the last tiger that was like kind of indigenous to Japan was hundreds of millions of years ago through fossils. Yeah, so there you go. That's it looks kind of like he's having sex with a tiger. Gotta be honest.
Maybe the samurai went over to like where's tigers are over in India, right? There's some tigers there.
Yeah, maybe he went on a little pilgrimage. You know,
he just took a road trip to fight the tiger specifically.
Oh, fuck it. Yeah. That's a lot of tattoos on that dude's back.
Yeah, it is.
To be honest with you, that tattoo would be more accurate if the samurai were fighting one of those adorable, placid, bowing deers that they have over in Japan, or like a fluffy little dwarf flying squirrel or something, because those are indigenous to Japan. There you go.
That'd be cool.
Or one of those Shiba dogs.
Flying squirrel tattoo.
5 Shiba dogs versus 1 samurai. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. That good. Copyright, Tim, you can't use that. After recording through 2009, the band's fifth record, The Powerless Rise, was streamed on the MySpace Music website between May. Yeah,
Remember
more than
that?
Yeah, holy shit. Between May the 7th, 2010, and May the 10th, 2010. So they streamed it for 3 days for free, which is pretty cool. And this is like 4 years after Radiohead released their album In Rainbows, and you could pay whatever the fuck you wanted on their website.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And a lot of people were like, "Oh, 1 cent, there you go. I'm gonna." And but actually, it was a smart move because they made $3 million from that album, and none of it went to the record labels or the distributors or anything like that. It just went straight to the band members.
That's a win.
And also, In Rainbows, it's genuinely one of the best albums of all time, certainly of the last 15 years, 20 years. So, 20 years now, because it's 2006. So, yeah, if it's still on their website, I doubt it is, go and get yourself a copy of that for 5 cents. The album was officially released on May the 11th, 2010, and received generally positive critical acclaim, with one critic saying fans of metalcore in general, all three of them, and As I Lay Dying in particular, will be more than satisfied with the powerless rise, as the band's gradual progression and consistency makes this their best album. So they're constantly improving at this point, which is a good sign for the future of the band, especially a decade in, because they've been together 10 years at this point, starting in high school.
10 years and 20 band members later.
Almost at this point. They've only lost 5 in a decade, so it's one every 2 years. That average is going to increase, though. The band toured this album through 2010 and 2011, and in late April, early May 2011, they go on tour with Trivium in support of Disturbed on Music as a Weapon tour in Australia and New Zealand. So they're doing like an Australasia, Oceania tour around there. On November the 8th, 2011, As I Lay Dying released a compilation album called Decas in honor of the band's 10-year anniversary. So, metal name, but you get it. It's 10 years, decade, whatever. The album featured 3 new original songs, 4 cover versions of songs by bands such as Slayer, Judas Priest, and The Descendants, a re-recorded medley that uses parts of several songs taken from Beneath the Encasing of Ashes, and 4 remixes consisting of 1 song from each of their albums since Frail Words Collapse. So they've been around for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
They've made millions of dollars from touring albums and merchandise. They've been nominated for a Grammy, and they're getting generally positive reviews at this point. They've gone from to like, they're quite good. So the reviews are improving, which is what you want from a band. The feedback is good from fans. They've got a really dedicated fan base who aren't toxic, which is a really good thing. Metal fans are kind of cool guys. So,
yeah, I think.
I don't think I've ever met a nasty piece of work metal fan. All of them I've met have been kind of either nice or like actual fucking teddy bears. Like, they're just sweet guys, just good, honest human beings, because they take all that shit out in the pit. And then the rest of the time, they're like, let's just relax. I smashed someone in the face on the pit. I'm fine now. They've also, kind of their album sales are doing quite well. They're not as well as that previous one, but, they're doing good. What could go wrong?
Oh, boy.
Okay. In 2012, Tim's gym obsession hits new levels when he starts to get noticeably bigger in a very short space of time, like in a matter of a few months.
How do you do that?
I wonder what he could be doing to dramatically increase his bulk. He posted a picture on his social media. You can see a dramatic transformation in a before or after shot posted online in December 2012. In the one image on the left, he's a scrawny guy who's tattooed arms, like muscle definition. But in the image on the right, a live shot where he's covered in like nasty post-performance sweat. His biceps are fucking beefed out, and even his face is looking a little bit puffy, which is fucking surefire sign that you've either been on the burgers or the roids.
The burgers?
Gotta love them burgers and roids. His face is looking super puffy. His upper body is massively... Yeah, look... I mean, fucking hell. If you're not viewing this on YouTube or Spotify, go over and watch that now. We've got a 45 minutes, 25 seconds. We've got a side-by-side comparison of Tim from like 2010 on the left and 2012 on the right. It's like a different fucking human being. You know, it's like big brother, younger brother situation. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's dude...
different.
He is blasting the roids. There's no way of hiding that. And I have no problem saying that, and you'll see why in a second. Also, the thing as well, if you watch music videos from around this time as well, you know this thing with guys who are on roids, and you can tell when they're not really that serious about being in the gym and actually just like being more muscular, because their fucking lower body, they've got like skinnier legs than me. They've got fucking chicken legs with pathetic little... Like, they've got no quads at all, or calves. Yeah. They're just like stick, waist, and then boom, you got the fucking V shape. It's ludicrous, and someone like... If you look at someone like a Kevin Nash, who's been in the headlines recently for really cool things, God bless you, Kevin Nash, massive upper body on Kevin Nash, but his legs are completely fucked from 30 years of wrestling, and the fact that he never really trained his lower body. So he's got like crippled legs, but he's like fucking jacked as shit. So in a post on his Tumblr page from 2012, Lambesis writes that he got this way by doing a prison-style workout while on the road. Okay. They've got roids in prison, have they? And hitting the gym back home in the North County of San Diego. At the gym, he'd do serious weight training, attacking each muscle with a minimum of 3 different angles. That's the it's the angles.
Is it? Mate, what happens if you do like 5 different angles? Do you turn into a balloon animal? Like, what the hell?
And fucking a rage monster. You become the Hulk. What if you do 10 albums? You fucking ascend to like a space baby or whatever the shit that is from 2001. At the gym, he'd do serious weight training, attacking each muscle from a minimum of 3 different angles. The goal, he wrote, was to break his muscles down and build them up stronger. I mean, that's literally the goal of every exercise you do.
Think that's how it works?
Yeah, Patrick McCall here, more foreshadowing. Yeah, literally when you do exercise, what you're doing is breaking down the muscle fibers and making them repair themselves bigger than they were before. That's literally the point of exercise. And he did this to leading to a ripped and visually appealing physique, is what he said. Visually appealing to who, Tim? Yourself? Women like different things. Okay.
People looking at him from the waist up.
Yes, that's it. Like he's got the Elvis cut off on him. That's what it is.
People only looking at this image picture of him.
Yeah, literally that's it. If that's all you saw of Tim Lambesis, you'd be like, wow, I bet that guy's lower body is super defined as well. But no, it's fucking chicken leg central. I admit... His quote is, "I admit that I have no practical reason for getting in great shape other than for intimidating girly men in the front row at ADM shows." He wrote in his Tumblr post, why would you put that on Tumblr, referring to his side project, Austrian Death Machine. I don't know if that's a good name for a band. Yeah. I know what he's referencing, but there's also another famous Austrian who also happened to have an actual death machine. Don't think you want to be referencing that, Tim.
Yeah.
I never knew this about As I Lay Dying. Jeez, Silent Crisis, you just fucking wait. So, Austrian Death Machine, a joke metal band that mixes it says na-na riffs. I don't know what that is. I don't know. And celebrity soundboard style samples of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold still intimidates me, so I have a small man's complex at 6'3", said the guy covered in tattoos, who's now started doing steroids. You're joking? You got a small man complex? Oof. Okay.
Oh boy.
I think you've got other complexes as well, potentially, here, Tim. On January the 25th, 2012, an announcement revealed that the band would be playing the Mayhem Festival of 2012 with Slipknot, Slayer, Motorhead, and Anthrax. Fucking... That's a lineup.
Yeah, that's solid.
Yeah. And it gets even better. The band announced in April 2012 that Bill Stevenson, who had previously worked with NoFX and Rise Against, would be the producer for their 6th album.
Okay, Bill Stevenson's a great producer.
Yeah. This is the zenith. Like, if you can pull this off, you're set for life again. Like, you are, you're working with the biggest bands on tour now. You're working with a huge name producer who's produced some of the best like punk music, like post-punk that's ever been made. But on June 22nd, 2012, the band announced that their 6th album will be titled Awakened, and the first single, Cauterize, was released on June the 25th, 2012. The album was released on September the 25th, a month later. June, July, 3 months later, and Cauterize was available. That's how months work. Cauterize was available on the band's website as a free download for 24-hour period. Love that. Love that they did that. Yeah, do that more often, bands, please. Must have missed Leg Day a few times. I don't think he ever saw Leg Day. I don't think he knows what legs are. Let's put it that way. I think he hovers. He's just so jacked that he can't fucking see his legs anymore, so he thinks they don't exist. I think that's how it works. Someone else puts his shoes on. Yeah, that's all it is. So, As I Lay Dying won the Metal Band of the Year award from Loudwire in 2012, beating other well-known bands including Anthrax and Lamb of God. This is their peak right here. It's all downhill now. I'm not exaggerating. Lambesis has previously stated on multiple occasions that he is a Christian. During an August 2010 radio interview on the Full Armor of God broadcast, Lambesis said, "I can only really write about what I'm passionate about in life. So naturally, my faith, my belief, and in the teachings of Jesus and his resurrection comes across in our lyrics." There he is in a picture sitting next to a head of Baphomet. Yes,
Sorry.
Super Christian right there.
I felt that it was the right time.
I really love Jesus, and I don't know what this goat symbolizes, but it's pretty cool, so I'm going to sit next to it for a while.
Metal.
You've got to be metal, but you can't do the Jesus thing. I mean, it didn't seem to harm Insane Clown Posse, but who knows? They were shit anyway. In a post on his personal Tumblr page explaining some of the lyrics from As I Lay Dying's album Awakened, released in September 2012, he made a statement indicating a change in his religious beliefs. This is around about the time he started banging the roids. Lambesis stated that his studies of theology, so he spent some time on the internet, had led him to the conclusion that the tradition and truth are often at odds with each other. Well, while he noted that he didn't hate all religious belief and was still inspired by the words of Jesus, he was finding it very difficult to outline exactly who it is that's worth siding with. It's not about siding with people, dude. It's about finding peace.
Siding with, eh?
I know. This isn't a fucking competition. You're supposed to find inner peace. That's the whole fucking point of religion.
Kind of feel like read the book wrong.
Yeah, stop bagging the roids. Anyway, and he was increasingly regarding the God of tradition and ritual that I grew up with as less and less of a probable truth. I don't like God anymore, boys. I'm changing teams. I'm going over to team, I don't know, Vishnu or something. He's also quoting. He quoted the book of Pagan Christianity by George Barna and Frank Viola, noting that both Protestant and Catholic denominations have poisonous roots. So just Catholicism, really. Actually, that you could infer anti-Semitism there, because if you're talking about Catholicism having poisonous roots, before that is Judaism. So
yeah, that would be the roots. That's the Old Testament part of it, right?
Exactly, right? That's where it comes from. So 2012, they've hit their biggest peak, and he starts doing PEDs. Let's not dance around it. He's doing PEDs.
Yeah.
Although, what's he enhancing? Really, he's not a fucking athlete or a weightlifter.
Stage presence.
There you go. He's got to look buff for the girly boys. That's it. And he starts to question his religious beliefs. There's a lot of change, really. I hope he didn't stop masturbating to the pictures of Arnold Schwarzenegger too, because that would just be one upheaval too many. Really.
Boy.
In August 2012, Lambesis sent an email to his wife, classy move, Megan Murphy Lambesis, while on tour with As I Lay Dying, in which he stated he no longer loved her. It's better than a fax and a text.
An email.
An email. I don't love you anymore. I will say that Phil Collins divorced his wife via fax, so it's a stage up from that. Like,
wow.
Actually sending, here you go, sign these, please. So he sent an email to her while he's on tour. He also stated that he no longer loved her, had engaged in an singular extramarital affair, and no longer believed in God. I hope that email was detailed.
Nope, it was 3 lines.
3 lines. Also, God, not a thing anymore. Bye. Jesus.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah. She sounded fine with it because they separated that same month. She filed papers in San Diego Superior Court 1 month later, in September 2012, seeking a dissolution of their marriage according to an online court database. In divorce papers, Murphy stated that Lambesis was obsessed with bodybuilding, spending endless hours at the gym, and was wasting thousands of dollars on tattoos. I know this is a divorce, but I don't think telling someone that wasting money on... He spends too much money that he's earned on tattoos for himself. Like, that's not a good argument in a divorce case. Like, that's also his money. If he wants to spend it on tattoos, you kind of can't really argue that in a divorce.
I mean, you can argue anything you want.
Yeah. Like that multi-million dollar...
It's not a good one.
It's not a good one, no. It's like that multi-million divorce settlement that fell apart over a $45 toaster. It's like, just fucking get over yourselves, people. Dude, Time took a hard nosedive after questioning God. Yeah, he did. Tim took a fucking... once God was gone, he was like, ooh, I'm fucking nosediving into debauchery here. That's not true. He just changed quite a lot. So she also alleged that he'd become dangerously distracted while watching their adopted children. They adopted two children from, I think it's Ethiopia. I could be wrong. Including falling asleep while they played in their pool. Do not do that, shits. That's how horror stories start, dude. And he'd taken 2 last-minute trips to Florida to see an extramarital girlfriend. He didn't tell her that. He was just like, oh, sorry, Florida bound, and that's what it is. When not on tour, Lambesis lived in Del Mar, California, when his ex-wife moved them into Encinitas. So,
okay.
Yeah, so they're fully separated at this point. In a desperate state, Lambesis starts to hit the gym fucking hard. Big time hard. And mentions his anger and frustration to a gym buddy. He mentions that he doesn't want his wife in the picture anymore. And when his buddy asks if he's talking about divorce, Lambesis corrects him and says he wants to hire someone to kill her.
Oh, yeah. Bother.
Oh, dear. This gym buddy, being a normal human being who's not banging out steroids and losing faith in God, naturally he's really scared by all this. This millionaire who's giant and wants to kill someone, he calls the police. And the police do the thing that they normally do and set up a sting to catch Lambesis. Yeah, here we go. This is where these pictures are coming from. The shackles on a good look. They set up a sting to catch Lambesis in the act of soliciting murder from a supposed hitman called Red, who's actually an undercover police officer who must be a huge fan of the Blacklist.
Oh, buddy.
I wonder if he wore a little hat and started talking like James Spader. Like, did I ever tell you about when I went to the Adriatic and swam with spider monkeys? That's my James Spader in the Blacklist impression. On the 7th of May 2013, Lambesis meets with Red in Oceanside, California. Nice. It's a good spot to meet someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Red
nice
asks Lambesis if he wants a hot dog. No, he didn't say that. If he wanted his wife of 8 years gone, and Lambesis replied, yes, that's what I want. He then gave the undercover agent an envelope containing $1,000 for expenses. Fucking cheapskate. Pictures of his wife, her address, and the codes to get through the gate, and the date on which to kill her. Wow. Lambesis had directed the detective he believed to be a hitman to kill his wife while he and his children were together, like doing a day out thing. So he had an alibi. The fact that he planned that, I suspect if that had gone down and like, where was the husband on the day? Oh, he just happened to, for the first time in months, take his kids to the zoo. Like, that in itself is fucking suspicious.
He took his kids for a nap at the zoo. In the lion cage.
Yeah, you run off and play with the cheetahs while I just sit on this bench here. He agreed to pay $20,000 for the hit.
That seems
fair.
low.
Yeah. It was a holiday discount.
Oh.
On May 9th, 2013, Lambesis he's already been arrested, and he gets taken to court and pleads not guilty to a felony charge of solicitation of murder, and was held on $3 million bail, despite prosecutors deeming Lambesis a flight risk and a danger to the public. I mean, yeah, he's both of those things, and boy, does he know it in that picture.
Yeah.
God damn. And yeah, Lambesis' bandmates, representatives from management and Metal Blade Records, the band's attorney Ian Friedman, were in attendance at his arraignment. According to the district attorney of the case, an audio recording of the transaction between Lambesis and Red, the undercover detective, exists and was reportedly used at the trial. A readiness confirmation was set for June the 10th, 2013, and a preliminary court date was scheduled for July the 10th, 2013. During the month of his initial arrest, Lambesis pleaded not guilty, and his lawyer stated his thought processes were devastatingly affected after his steroid use. That's why.
I mean,
that'll fuck.
I don't think that's a defense. I think it's accurate and probably partially true, but I still think that you got to have that in there.
And also, the prosecution were going to bring forward an expert in like steroid use and murder and stuff like that, and he was like, "Listen, steroids will fuck you up, but if I want to see what this guy was like before he started doing roids, because he might have already been a psychopath." And to be honest with you, familiarity with it, people like when Chris Benoit murdered his wife and child over a 24-hour period, and then himself, people blame steroids because he's a wrestler, there were steroids in his house. Actually, roid rage doesn't work like that. Rage is a momentary thing. It doesn't last for 24 hours. It doesn't last for days. It doesn't last for weeks and months while you're planning your wife's murder. That's not how rage works. What you're talking about is mental illness, and with Chris Benoit, he had the brain of an 80-year-old because of CTE. He had terrible degenerative brain health, and that was probably the reason he did what he did, even though apparently Stone Cold Steve Austin doesn't believe CTE is a thing, but who am I to argue with him? But no, I don't believe that steroids is an adequate excuse for this. I think this shows premeditation and planning. The fact that he went through with it, arranged it all. This is not a steroids thing. This is a mental health thing, and that's not a good enough excuse. So
fair.
A new bail hearing was held for Lambesis on May the 17th, 2013, at which point the defense attorney Tim Warwick had the bail reduced from $3 million to $2 million, and Lambesis was released on bail on the 30th of May. He was ordered to wear a GPS monitor, was subject to a level strict travel restrictions, and was unable to see or communicate with his wife and 3 children. And more devastatingly for him, he couldn't go to the gym and get swole with the boys. As a result, As I Lay Dying's mid-2013 tour with Killswitch Engage was cancelled. On February the 25th, 2014, Lambesis changed his plea from not guilty to guilty and was sentenced to 6 years in prison on May the 16th, 2014, and credited with 48 days for time served. He was never going to beat that, really, and you can count his lucky fucking stars that he only got 6 years. That's kind of insanely lenient.
Yeah, for trying to have somebody whacked?
Yeah, for attempted assassination of your wife. Yeah. Anyway, no judgment, but 6 years is light. While on house arrest, Lambesis made a lengthy post on his personal blog in which he stated that he, due to ongoing criminal case, was unable to explain more about my case or to explicitly state that my current worldview is, but noted that after my incarceration, I found myself reevaluating topics that I had previously sworn I would never waste my time looking at again. Lambesis stated that I grew up in a Christian home and held that belief myself for many years, in the process of sincerely trying to defend that belief in a scholarly way. And shortly after finishing my degree, I felt that it was unreasonable to call myself a Christian in the light of the evidence. What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
There's a lot of words.
That's a fucking word salad that's gone off right there. In June 2014, Lambesis came out as an atheist, claiming that he, along with other members of the band, just kept pretending to be Christian to sell records, a claim called slanderous and defamatory by then guitarist Nick Hipper. He is really fucking his bandmates over here.
I was unaware that they were a Christian metal band,
Yeah.
and that's how they were selling records.
Apparently that's one way they were selling records. I feel like that's probably, as time's gone by, I doubt that's like a core thing. I feel like that's probably like in your early days, get an extra bit of coverage, mention that you're a Christian, you do some Christian-ish songs with some, maybe you talk about the beyond or whatever the fuck people do, and that helps you. But I think by this point in time, like, they're established, the Christianity is probably less of a driving force behind the band. But he's just come out and fucked them over and been like, they're not really Christians, they're just doing it for the cash. So they're plastic. He even recalls feeling awkward when asked for their testimonies and when fans asked them to pray with them. According to Lambesis, his renunciation, I beg your pardon, of Christianity made it easier to have an affair because, as we know, nobody who's dedicated to any religion has ever done anything illicit when it comes to sex.
Nope, it's right there that you're not supposed to do that.
That's right, and they always obey that. Always, 100%.
Always.
Yeah. Do not read the Boston Globe. However, since his arrest, the band released a statement saying that Lambesis had spent much of the last year reevaluating what originally convinced him to abandon his belief in God. After much brokenness and repentance, he sees things differently, considers himself a follower of Jesus, someone submitted to the will of God, or whatever you want to call it. That's a nice way of ending the sentence. Adding, that's for him to talk about when he's comfortable, and only time will tell if he's sincere. I think not being on the roids might have also helped that a little bit as well. In 2016, after 2 years in prison, Lambesis filed a lawsuit against 2 Southern California detention centers, Vista Detention Facility and George Bailey Detention Facility, for gross negligence in denying his request for anastrozole. Anastrozole. There we go.
Okay.
A drug he'd been prescribed to fight the side effects of withdrawal from steroids. The lawsuit alleges that as a result of the failure to provide him with the drug, Lambesis developed tits and underwent severe emotional distress. So you go from buff to having tits, that'll do it for you,
Yeah. That's a thing, but like, you can't sue somebody because you grew tits because you came off of steroids because you tried to have your wife killed. Dum-dum.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it's not their fault that you were cycling through steroids. At some point, you're going to have to stop banging out the steroids and you're going to have to cycle off. That's how it works.
Yeah, you should do that before you have somebody try to kill your wife.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, his request for punitive damage is $35 million, dismissed almost immediately in September. I know. Like, dude, you got tits. Just get on a treadmill. You'll be fine. But his claim of medical negligence were never tried. To be honest with you, listen, the prison system is fucked up. We've spoken about this before. I do not believe that prisons work. I think punishment works. I don't think prisons work in any given situation. It's rare cases, I agree with it. But I don't think it works. But if you're going to sue the prison system, it's probably best to do it when you're not actually still in the fucking prison system, which he was at the time. That is a dangerous thing to do with your life. They can make things so much harder for you.
I didn't realize that's dumb.
Really fucking dumb. Wait until you get out, then start filing the court cases. This is when, like, people start spitting in your food, your mail goes missing. Like, that's when people start fucking with you because everyone's connected. Don't be that stupid, but he is. He was released on parole on December the 17th, 2016. He then married, let me see. Yep, a few months later, married a woman called Amanda Dubord.
Is that her?
Yeah, that. No, I think this is Danielle.
What's
So
the
we'll
first
get to
wife?
Danielle. This is I think that picture was the third wife.
Oh, dang
So
it!
we'll get
I'm
to
bad
that
at this
in a
job.
second. Yes, that's okay. That's okay. To be honest with you, he has a type. They all look quite similar. So, understandable. So, his new wife is called Amanda Dubord. They get married in April 2017. He's been out of prison for about 4 months at this point. But they divorce in 2020 during the COVID lockdown. And then he marries a woman called Danielle Norris, Danny Ciara, in 2022. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's quite a lot of marriages in a
Did
5-year window right there.
Can't tell which
So-
one's which.
No,
They
they
look
do
the same.
look alike. They do. He has a
gotta
type.
blow up the. I gotta blow up the pictures to tell the different tattoos.
There you go. That's how to tell the difference. They've got different markings on them.
Well, and he's got their face in his face on all these other pictures. Sorry, everybody.
Amazing. This is what happens when you have a type, people, and you're famous. People can't tell your wives apart. So over the course of the tail end of Lambesis' incarceration and release, the band's public opinion towards Lambesis softened. Band member Jordan Manciano. So there we go. So this is the third wife or the second wife now?
I don't know. This is
don't
one
know.
of the wives.
One of the wives. There might be two different wives. That might not.
Yeah,
be
that
the
one didn't
same
have no
person.
tattoos.
Yeah, I know. It's so hard to tell. Band member Jordan Mancino did an interview primarily discussing Woven War, his new band, but also spoke about As I Lay Dying on Metal Sucks podcast. Great name.
Okay.
He stated that contrary to popular belief that other band members Hipper, Segroso, and Gilbert are still technically part of As I Lay Dying due to their recording contract, and in another interview he stated that there is no ill will towards Lambesis and wished him well, which is actually really important because, as we've spoken about on this podcast before, if you cast people out of society for their mistakes, you make things 10 times worse for them, the people around them, for society in general. So I'm glad that they were kind of neutral towards him, because like that is going to be an encouraging thing when this gentleman is finally out. Of course, he is at this point.
That's not 6 years though.
It's not 6 years. It's, what did we say? 2016, December 2016. And he was sentenced in 2014. He's done 2 years. Oh, shit.
That's
2 and a bit years.
Okay.
It's
One
not
third.
a long time.
Third,
What was that? Sorry?
right? 1/3 of
One
the
thir-
sentence.
Yeah, a third of his sentence, if that.
Okay.
Really. So anyway, on September the 2nd, 2017, Metal Injection reported that Lambesis was working on new music and planned to release it under the As I Lay Dying name, and that none of the pre-hiatus lineup aside from Lambesis would be returning. This would later be proven false, as on June 8th, 2018, the band released the music video for My Own Grave, confirming through the video that the lineup of Lambesis, Hipper, Segroso, Gilbert, and Mancino had completely reunited. They performed their first show in 5 years, which sold out in 4 minutes, at the Soma side stage in the hometown of San Diego.
Okay.
They've still got a dedicated fan base, even after all this. So, it's pretty intense.
All right.
The news of their reunion drew particularly divisive, reactions from fans and media outlets, while fan and critical reception of the band's reunion and comeback single were met largely with praise, and others were openly skeptical on supporting Tim Lambesis following his prison sentence. Most notably was Metal Sucks, who published an editorial that they would no longer be writing about the band, with multiple outlets voicing their support for Metal Sucks' decision. I understand that decision, but we are all about giving people second chances on this podcast and other chances as well. So to ignore this band is a kind of a stupid decision, because not only are you showing yourselves up to be hypocrites by refusing to cover them, but you're covering plenty of other dodgy musicians out there, because there are plenty of dodgy musicians everywhere, but you're also alienating potential readers and listeners of your podcast. So that's a really dumb business decision. So listen, just get someone else in to cover them. Don't cover them yourselves. Get a freelancer in. pay them that way. On August the 15th, 2020, it was reported that Nick Hipper might have left the band. Hipper officially confirmed his departure 1 year later on August the 31st, 2021, noting that behaviors resulting from being in the band led to his decision to leave. There is tremendous good that can be accomplished through singular focus on the power of music. However, to my memory and recent experience, it comes at the cost of tolerating behavior which at times mistreats, disrespects, and hurts other people.
Okay. So is he saying Tim's being a dick?
He further elaborated that the power and reasoning behind As I Lay Dying's reunion had faded in favor of superficial pursuits which he did not wish to be part of. It's all very cryptic, but he's saying stuff without saying it. Really?
Sounds like Tim came back to make music and get laid and raise hell.
Yeah, and there's more to come, because in December 2020, Tim Lambesis said that he'd accidentally spilled gasoline on himself while trying to add it to a bonfire. Who does that? Oh, this isn't big enough. Here we go.
Oh,
there
my
you go.
goodness.
Just fucking, oops. He suffered burns on 25% of his body and was hospitalized for weeks.
My goodness.
Does not sound like an accident to me. I'm sorry. Just learn. Listen, God, there's got to be a YouTube instructional video on how to do a bonfire. Pouring gasoline on yourself and then standing next to it is not one of the ways to manage a bonfire.
Generally not. I think NoFX has a song about that, where they poured gasoline on the fire and now they have nubs for arms and no eyebrows. I think that's
maybe it's based on Tim Lambesis' life. Who knows? You got a cool picture of him standing over there, and maybe a fucked up one there. Is this like post burns?
This is him laid up in the hospital, all burnt up.
Holy shit! He looks ridiculous as well.
Yeah, that's a lot of burns, man.
That's a lot. Basically, the only thing that isn't covered in bandages is his neck and head, which he's got a man bun as well, which doesn't help the picture. Do
you think it melted that way?
I think it probably did. It's just set in place now. On May 16th, 2022, it was announced that bassist and vocalist Josh Gilbert left the band after 15 years. Drummer Nick Pierce, also formerly of Unearth, was announced as the band's live drummer for their upcoming tour. A week later, the band claimed Mancino excommunicated himself from the band and that moving forward without him was the only option, implying he was no longer in the band. Also, on October the 18th, 2024, Ryan Neff announced his departure from the band, citing a need to benefit his personal and professional journey. Okay, that's a nothing burger of a statement. Just 6 days later, Ken Susi and Nick Pierce, who'd been brought into the band a few years earlier, also announced their departures from the band, stating their personal morals had been tested to breaking point and needed to preserve personal health and integrity. In conjunction with Susi and Pierce, the band's touring manager resigned as well, effectively cancelling the planned European tour. On October the 30th, Phil Scroso announced his departure from the band, adding that the band no longer offers a healthy or safe environment for anyone involved, and that he could not enable further actions that could negatively affect anyone working within this space, leaving Tim Lambesis as the sole remaining member of the band. I wonder what caused all of this to happen. It's not good, is it?
I feel like maybe there was some bad behavior on the part of, the remaining members of the band.
Remaining members.
Yes,
maybe there was. Well,
what did he do? What was he doing?
Well, he was doing all sorts of shit. In late 2024, Lambesis and his third wife, Danielle Norris, divorced. Following this, numerous videos began circulating on the internet showing Lambesis being verbally abusive towards Norris, flipping tables over, smashing things, throwing things against the wall, punching himself in the head and chest repeatedly. Lambesis then released a statement alleging that he had filed a restraining order against his tiny wife, Norris, due to her ongoing physical and mental abuse of him. Dunno. Sounds like you're the problem, dude. In January 2025, Norris shared a statement on her social media pages countering that. The opposite was true and alleging that Lambesis was mentally unstable and hiding his behavior behind his PR team to control the narrative of his pattern of abuse. That sounds more accurate. Sorry, I was behind a little bit there. This sounds like the song Bob. Is that a NoFX one?
Yeah.
I thought it was. There we go. Following this, in January 2025, a video leaked appeared to show Lambesis kicking their dog because he just needed to be more of a piece of shit, apparently. In April 2025, a petition with roughly 70,000 signatures began circulating. 70,000.
Okay.
Began circulating due to this incident with the goal of having Californian authorities open an investigation into Lambesis' alleged animal abuse. I was willing to give this guy numerous chances until he kicked his own fucking dog. Now he can fuck off and jump into a pier. Sorry, jump off a pier.
Yeah.
Indeed.
There's
Lambesis looking like a proper Christian.
It's the entirety of As I Lay Dying, the band.
It's just him and a bunch of lasers. Holy shit. In April 2025, former As I Lay Dying and Unearthed guitarist Ken Susi revealed on a podcast that the exodus of the entire lineup in 2024 of As I Lay Dying stemmed from an incident where Lambesis abused Norris in the kitchen of Susi's home, which was captured on security video and subsequently brought to the rest of the band's attention, causing the entire band, including Phil Sgrasso, to leave. The video is disturbing. He looks wide-eyed. He looks high. He's punching himself in the head. He's also gigantic, and she is tiny. Is really disturbing.
Somebody mixed cocaine with his steroids, or what?
I think so. Also, ego as well. Here's a quote from theprp.com. FM Music Management, who also represent the likes of Testament, Exodus, and more, have just announced that they've picked up As I Lay Dying as a client. It remains as yet unclear who will be joining Lambesis in the next incarnation of the group, who, as of press time, have cycled through 15 members, excluding touring musicians. So that's Tim Lambesis, Roy taking, violent, murder-plotting, loud-screaming dog kicker.
Wow.
Yeah. It got dark at the end there. It's basically a story of two halves. Only the first half is the first 12 years of the band's existence, and then there's everything after that where he fucks up royally. What are your thoughts on Tim Lambesis of As I Lay Dying?
What in the hell happened?
Roids happened, and ego happened, and to be honest with you, I think it's just one of those situations where he probably had a very carefully crafted image, and then it all came tumbling down. That's all I can think, really.
Perhaps. It feels so weird. Is it the ego where everything went so well? He got what he wanted, did roids, nobody told him no.
Yeah.
He, like, so much bad.
Yeah, and the thing is, this gentleman was given a second chance. In the public sphere, he was forgiven by a lot of people and given another opportunity to tour, make music and stuff. The problem is, I don't think he ever truly came to terms with what the core problems with his behavior were, and they've kind of manifested in different ways. Thankfully, not attempting to have someone murdered. They've manifested in rage and anger and violence and intimidation, and that's not a great downgrade, really. So,
no, and that's wild. 6 years for paying or setting up to have somebody murdered. That means, and that's premeditated. Thinking about this person that you vowed to love and spend your life with, instead of just divorcing.
Yeah,
you're going to, and then to do 1/3 of that, you're no longer a danger to. You don't have any money left. Is that what it is? Like, because he's just not going to go hire somebody else.
I know.
I don't like this person. I'm just 20 grand.
I got plenty of 20 grand stowed away somewhere. It's such a strange thing because 2.5 years, which is what he effectively served, and it doesn't sound like he, other than the medical stuff, which don't do steroids. It sounds like he did okay, and he came out in a situation where the band were ready to start touring with him again and working with him again. So, um, I want, I have, how sometimes like we want people to do well, even though they've
Hmm.
kind of been shitty. I have less liking for this guy than I do of other people who have fucked up, because he just doesn't seem like a good guy. But I genuinely hope that he settles. He just stops now. He doesn't like. I think reforming As I Lay Dying right now is a very, very bad idea. I think he needs to step away from music for at least 5 years. This dude is only slightly older than us. He's still 44.
Hmm.
Stop doing music for 5, 6 years. Okay, step away from it. Do some serious counseling, some serious soul searching. Do other stuff that maybe you like or you're good at. Maybe indulge that, and try and rediscover who you are and where you went wrong. That is the only way you don't continue down this path of self-destruction which he's got going on. And I think a lot of this comes from a lot, and this happens with a lot of people. You get a little bit of fame, you get a little bit of attention, the ego grows and grows and grows and steadily, and then it's running away from me. Wait, what the fuck? And before you know it, you're out of control, you're crazy, you're doing drugs, and you're plotting to have your wife killed. So it's kind of fucked up. I think ultimately he needs to stop and get some serious help.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. That absolutely, there's some internal looking that needs to happen, and some counseling and some talking, and then
Yeah.
like it sucks that he was given the opportunity and perhaps had fooled friends and band members into believing that changes and adjustments were made.
Mm.
Maybe, um,
Yeah.
but then right straight back to violence against a loved one and spouse and man's best friend, for fuck's sake.
I don't. I don't know how you square that. Honestly, it's so fucked up to me. Like, that might be why I don't like him as much. It's probably the dog thing. Like, I just couldn't imagine kicking a dog unless it's like trying to attack you. And there's other stuff as well. It sounds fucked up. But if you had to give Tim Lambesis a score, what would you give him? Because you know how the qualifier. Well, he didn't kill anyone, but this
And he
dude fucking
tried.
tried.
Yeah.
So how?
Well,
do you
he
score
tried,
Tim
and then he
Lambesis?
tried to set up his next wife as the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry,
Um.
his third wife, not
Oh
his
yeah,
next
yeah,
wife.
yeah.
His
Somebody
they
somebody was
divorced.
smart enough to bail quick.
Yeah, she got the fuck away from him in 2 years. So
Yeah.
Uh,
Gosh. I mean, perhaps if something changes and we revisit later on down the road,
mhm.
I don't know. I feel like a 96, 97 is pretty fair, because that's like a hard
Mm.
figure it out, fix it.
Yeah. This is one of those things, and Tim Lambesis is very much still active online in interviews. He's still working. I don't know if this is ever going to get back to him. There's a bunch of YouTube stuff you can see on Tim Lambesis, and
I'm sure he's gonna come beat me up.
I don't think, just run away from him. He can't catch up with you. Trust me, his fucking legs will snap. Tim, listen, dude. Um, a lot of us have been in a situation where we've fucked up in our lives. We've screwed up. We've maybe gotten caught up in ego and addiction, whatever it might be. You need to step away from music right now. This is the only healthy way to do it. Keep recording in your own spare time. Keep writing and recording. Don't do the touring thing. Don't do all of that. Don't do releasing. Listen, you need to step away. You need to do some serious work on yourself, and you kind of need to get help. And I do hope that he gets help and he is able to be reflective and maybe rebuild and be a different, better person. Maybe he turns back to religion. Maybe that'll help him. Who knows? But right now, you need to stop doing whatever it is that you're doing that's encouraging this behavior, whether that's pharmaceutical or mental, whatever it might be, and just try and get yourself a little bit of help. And you've got, even though you've had 3 divorces, you've got plenty of money. It's not like you're going to struggle for a while. So maybe just chill the fuck out, do some self-reflection, and become a better person.
Yeah.
So.
Have you tried weed?
weed would be better for you than steroids. It's not
Sorry.
addictive or habit forming, and also, you might enjoy yourself a little bit more. So who knows? But that's Tim Lambesis of As I Lay Dying. An interesting story, very sad. I really hope we get a good end to this. Obviously, there's a bunch of horrible shit that's already happened, but hopefully he can rebuild and come out a little bit better and stronger from this, but time will tell. I suspect that Tim is in the process of currently trying to ignore all of his problems and relaunch a tour with a shadow of As I Lay Dying, but we'll see.
Shadows are security.
Shadows are security for him, apparently, so don't do it, Tim. So that's our show for this week. Thank you all so very much. I've had a lot of fun doing this. You not huge familiar with metalcore, but now you know a bit more, I guess.
I know, yeah.
Now you know one guy from metalcore, and maybe don't piss him off.
Oops.
Yeah, or maybe do piss him off, but like just make sure he's not in love with you first, and then you're probably safe.
Instead of hiring somebody to take me out, just give me 20 grand and I'll go away and shut up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, could you not have done that for your wife? Like, just like, here you go. Look, we can't be together. I fucked up. Here's a bunch of money. Otherwise, I might do something stupid. Just do that next time. Okay, there's your get out clause. It'll cost you more, but less so in the whole prison thing. So that's our show for this week. If you liked what you heard and you would like to support us financially, because Lord only knows, difficult times with the way Spotify is changing the way it funds shows. If you would like to sling us a little bit of cash on Patreon, go to patreon.com/historysgreatestidiots, where you'll get access to our behind-the-scenes stuff from our lives that we don't post on social media, and our holidays and pictures of pets and adorableness as well, and access to scripts and exclusive month Patreon-only recordings that go on for a good 90 minutes. We talk for a long time. Also,
we chat a bit.
We do chat a bit on tangents. And if you also get a gift when you join, and an annual gift when you stay with us for a year. And also we're on Instagram. If you go to @HistorysGreatestIdiots, you can see a bunch of good, well-performing memes and some videos as well. And also on YouTube @HistorysGreatestIdiots, where you'll see all of the videos of our show, and they're also available on Spotify as well. So if we could encourage you to follow and like us anywhere, it would be Spotify, because Lord only knows that's where the big money comes from. That's not so.
It's the only numbers that count anymore.
It's the only numbers that count anymore, unfortunately. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you all again in a couple of weeks. Derek, would you like to say goodbye?
Goodbye, everybody.
Where's my mouse gone? There it is. And we'll see you all again. Patrick McCall. So long, guys. See you next time. Thank you all so much. And Silent Crisis, thank you for dropping by as well. I'm Patrick. And we'll see you all again very soon. Take care now. Bye.